Hey everyone, it's Azor Ahype here with another in-depth character analysis video, and today we will take a deeper look into Arya Stark's growth over the first 6 seasons of A Game of Thrones, and then go on to predict her future for Season 7 and beyond. Please enjoy. When we were first introduced to Arya Stark, we learned that she was quite different from her sister Sansa and the rest of the Stark children. Her interests definitely aren't the same as other girls her age, as she is more interested in fighting and swordsmanship than things like embroidery. Over the first few episodes, we learn more about Arya and her tomboy-like behavior. Of all of her relatives, her father Ned and her cousin Jon are the only two that really recognize her interests and support her in her desires. Her father arranges fighting lessons from the first sword of Braavos, and Jon gifts her with her first sword needle.
This is no toy. Be careful you don't cut yourself.
There are many events that help to shape her, from Arya's having to say goodbye to her wolf Nymeria to the killing of one of her friends Mycah. Then, when Arya learned about Braavos and water dancing Syrio Forel, she knew she had a new goal in life. These events lay the groundwork for her endgame, and will help to shape the predictions I believe to be truth for her future. Outside of Jon and Ned, Syrio Forel was the first other strong male figure in the story that influenced Arya's life. In some ways, he influenced them more than either of them did, as he taught her not only how to fight, but of what she might discover and learn in Braavos. He teaches her water dancing and about the Faceless Men and their ideologies.
There is only one God, and his name is death.
And there is only one thing we say to death.
Not today.
Not long after Arya had to run from her pursuers, she found herself in the main square and had to witness one of the most horrific things a child could ever have to see: the execution of her own hero, her father, Ned Stark. This series of circumstances arrested her development and froze her in a moment in time. It is from this moment that Arya first creates her list: Joffrey, the Hound, Cersei, Meryn Trant, and Ilyn Payne. They were all involved in the sequence of events that Arya started down her path of becoming a trained killer. However, not everything was about tragedy. Although she was afflicted with death and loss in Season 1, she did eventually meet some friends. These companions, Gendry, Potpie, and Lommie, helped set the stage for her path in Season 2. Arya's evolution in Season 2 continues from where she was in Season 1. As she travels with her new mentors Yoren and Jaqen H'ghar, she learns more and more about how the world works in reality, as she moves farther away from the protected life she once had in Winterfell. One thing that stuck out to me was Yoren's effort to teach Arya that becoming obsessed with revenge will consume you. Of course, later on, her course changes when Lannister forces attack and take her and her companions hostage. This is the first point in the story where we really see her struggle with her identity because of the token and love and appreciation she received from Jon Snow. Her sword needle is taken from her and used to kill Lommie in an act of brutality. Next, in my humble opinion, one of the few great changes from the books, and that is that Tywin Lannister is serving as the Lord of Harrenhal as opposed to Roose Bolton. Although he is not a father figure or a mentor to her, he is still a guiding force who not only seems to be looking out for her, but someone who she truly learns a few rules of the Game of Thrones from. Although I very much enjoyed the scenes between Tywin and Arya, the interaction between Jaqen H'ghar and Arya struck me as something that was even more important. Because she saved him, he offers her 3 names for death, setting in motion the chain of events that ultimately led Arya to short-sighted freedom from the Lannisters. Although she could have named anyone, she used her 3 names to help her and her friends to escape from Harrenhal. The choices she made show that she is clearly motivated by revenge, and even more importantly that she has been caught up in the web of Jaqen H'ghar and the Faceless Men. In Season 3, things start to get more interesting as her quest for revenge is put on hold by the Brotherhood without banners and her reunion with one of my favorite characters, the Hound, Sandor Clegane. Early on, Arya learns that the ideologies of the Brotherhood without banners don't mesh well with those of Jaqen H'ghar. We especially see that in the fight between Beric Dondarrion using his flaming sword and the Hound, who is deathly afraid of fire. When Sandor defeats Beric and he clears his name, they are all shocked when they see Thoros revive Beric. These things make Arya question the words of Syrio and take notice of all the outside forces within the story that aren't within her control. There are a few moments which contribute to her deciding not to stay with the Brotherhood without banners, between them selling Gendry for gold and the decision for them to go south to fight the Lannisters and Gregor Clegane. Ultimately, she decides to run away and gets kidnapped by the Hound so she can be ransomed off to her family. We know this won't be the last time that they meet, however, because of the moment between Melisandre and Arya. Even though this season is filled with some of the favorite moments between Arya and the Hound and Arya and the Brotherhood without banners, we can't forget about one of the 3 largest events within the whole of the Game of Thrones series, the Red Wedding. This is the tragedy that leads her towards a new evolution away from what Yoren was trying to impart and even more closely towards what Jaqen wanted to offer her, to become death itself. Ultimately, Arya does want to seek safety and go home, but at this point in the story that option is not available to her. Instead, she continues her unlikely travel arrangements with the Hound. From him, she learns not only more about the art of fighting, but also about how to judge people. Season 4 may be my favorite part of the character arc for Arya, and yes, I am biased because it involves her traveling with my favorite character, Sandor Clegane. As they travel throughout the war-torn lands of Westeros, Arya sees a softer side of Sandor, the one that is hidden behind the armored shell that he constantly wears throughout the story. Throughout this and his actions, she finds a respect for the man she, nor us, ever thought she would have. There are a few scenes that I would like us to watch that show how the past is still connected to Arya, and those connections are making it difficult for her to move on.
I see what he taught you. Go on, do it for your Braavos friend. Dead like all the rest of your friends. Your friend's dead, and Merentrant's not. Because Trant had armor, and a big fucking sword.
One of those is her coming to terms with the respect she has gained for Sandor and his ideologies, and her trying to reconcile that with her original desire for revenge. As can be seen when Sandor insults Syrio and then smacks her is not because he is being mean, but he is trying to teach her a lesson in realism. As he knows as well as anyone in this series, things won't always go the way you expect them to, and if you are unable to change, you won't survive. In contrast to this, we also get the beautiful moments between the Hound telling her his personal story and his philosophy behind killing. All the lessons she has learned up to this point lead to Arya taking action by adopting a new identity and leaving Arya Stark behind in Westeros. In Season 5, Arya finally reaches Braavos where she fully embraces Jaqen H'ghar's invitation to enter the House of the Black and White and work to become a girl. Arya does not immediately get what she wants, however, she almost gives up when the Faceless Men initially do not accept her request. Eventually, though, she gets taken in because they understand the value of her skills and the upside of her becoming a high-level assassin. Throughout this season, we get to see Arya try to embrace the training and the ideals of the Faceless Men, but she finds herself at odds with totally giving up all vestiges of her life as Arya Stark. This is the point at which the web she has woven in the earlier seasons starts to come together. For example, when she takes on another identity like she did with Yoren and gave the gift of mercy to the man who was dying on the side of the road in Season 4. Another big turning point this season is when she disobeys the Faceless Men's rule regarding not killing people on her list when she viciously kills Merentrant. Ultimately, we see that she doesn't want to leave Arya behind as her connection to her past throughout her belongings like Needle and her need for revenge are still prevalent. Previously, Arya had been able to get away with impulsive decision-making, but this time, Jaqen and the Wave punish her by making her blind and putting her in a very scary situation in line for a new test for Season 6. During Season 6, Arya drops to what is probably her lowest point on the show. She has been blinded by the members of the House in Black and White, she is out begging on the streets of Braavos, and she is confronted by her antagonist, the Waif. Although this encounter is supposed to be part of her training, it is a brutal experience. Arya is put through a series of tests culminating in her being sent to assassinate Lady Crane. But before killing her, she gets to know her and is unable to follow through on her contract. This gives Jaqen and the House of Black and White no choice in their course of action, and they are forced into sending the Waif out after Arya. Because Arya has let her guard down, she ends up gravely injured and barely gets away with her life intact. This leads to the final encounter between Arya and the Waif, and ultimately her return to the House of Black and White and a confrontation between Jaqen H'ghar and Arya. At this time, she proclaims that a girl is Arya Stark and that she is returning home to Winterfell. Interestingly, Jaqen seems to be happy with her progress. I believe that Jaqen genuinely wanted her to succeed and as a final test defeat the Waif. As he promised, he successfully trained her to be able to return to Westeros and be able to defeat her enemies. The first notion that we get that Arya has returned to Westeros is the odd encounter between Jaime Lannister and the serving girl at Walder Frey's celebration. A few minutes later, we are rewarded with seeing Arya reveal herself as the serving girl and eliminate the first person from her list, Walder Frey. Let's watch the scene.
My name is Arya Stark. I want you to know that. The last thing you're ever going to see is a Stark smiling down at you as you die.
From this, we are able to see that Arya has been trained fully to be a Faceless Man, and she has a unique set of skills that will allow her to track down and hunt the remaining people on her list. Ultimately, this character who we first met as a little girl has become a major force for the upcoming story of Westeros. Now that we are in uncharted territory and taking the leaks with a grain of salt, I figured that we could analyze where Arya's story might go for Season 7. Let's make some predictions. Something has always stood out to me in the Song of Ice and Fire in that even though Ice and Fire are different and Black and White are on the opposite sides of the spectrum, everything is connected. George has planted so many of these seeds throughout his work that I believe that events that happened earlier in the series will be reflected in opposition later on within the story. For example, Season 1 saw Arya develop her hatred for the Lannisters, become annoyed and disconnected from her sister Sansa, lose her faithful friend and companion Nymeria, and see her favorite relative Jon head off to become a brother of the Night's Watch. I believe that in Season 7, we will see Arya reunited with Sansa and finally find a way to work together, and that she will also be reunited with Nymeria as well. Also, I believe that she will gain some revenge against those who helped the Lannisters, and most importantly will play a large role in the execution of Littlefinger. Also, on a happier note, she will finally be reunited with her cousin Jon Snow. With only 13 episodes remaining in the series, there is a lot left that has to happen. With fewer locations being used, we can expect larger scenes between larger groups of major characters. In addition to that, I believe that not only Arya will meet Melisandre again, but more importantly, she will reunite with Sandor Clegane in a heartwarming moment. Having grown so much since they were first together, Arya will finally be able to let some of the past go and move forward, finally being able to take on her new identity and embodiment of the stranger, Arya Stark of Winterfell. I will be continuing into my analysis of Arya Stark, and next time we will take on two theories and decide which one has more plausibility for her endgame. A big thank you to all of you who have got this far, and I would especially like to thank all of the people who have supported Channel KFC with generous donations and have become my patrons on Patreon. If you enjoyed this video and want to become a member of the ever-growing Chicken Coop, you should subscribe for more epic Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire content. Don't forget to join us in the comment section and share your thoughts and theories on Arya Stark's future. It has been my pleasure, but remember, if you don't like, comment, or subscribe, I'm gonna have to eat every fucking chicken in this place. Please stay for the outro video of the Hound dancing and eating chicken. Hello, Dohairis.